bodies pressed close, their fingers threaded together as the miles ticked by. Flat expanses had given way to hills and mountains, and then the desert. Never had David seen for himself just how vast the world truly was, and America was only a small part of it. Time had lost meaning, and he imagined it might be what purgatory was like. They'd watched the land go by through dingy glass, only stopping in bus stations choked with exhaust and rumbling engines. In the darkness of long nights broken by only the harsh glare of the station lights, David had felt like they might never get to San Francisco. It all seemed like some kind of dream. But now they were here. It was real. Isaac snorted and rolled toward him before falling quiet again, his lips still parted. With a smile, David folded his hands behind his head and watched. He wanted to trace the freckles that danced across Isaac's nose and the tops of his cheeks, and kiss the corners of his eyelids to feel the flutter of his pretty lashes, rub against the stubble on his face as their lips met, and see the amber of Isaac's eyes as they opened. David glanced at the electric clock with glowing red numbers on the table beside him. It was after 7, but they hadn't been sleeping long. As much as David wanted Isaac against him, to simply have the freedom to watch him sleep was more than he'd thought possible. The only other time they had shared a bed, there was no time for rest. Quick as a snake bite, the familiar guilt returned. Images of that day spilling through his mind. Scratchy sheets and yellow blankets at the Wildwood Inn. He and Isaac, sweaty and sticky in their own world. The blinding white of the snow and the crimson blood. The gray hospital and... He squeezed his eyes shut. No matter what anyone might say, the accident was his fault. If he'd resisted this selfish need to sneak away with Isaac, his mother never would have been hurt. Even if he gave her all his savings for the hospital bill, how would she and the girls get by on their own? It had been 3 days now. He tried to imagine what they were doing right that moment. Were they going on like usual, with washing and cooking and cleaning? What if Mary or Anna needed help with the sticky latch on the icehouse door? What of the barn work and the horses? Coffee could be a handful early in the mornings when he was grumpy and stubborn. David thought of the inadequate note he'd scrawled over a scrap of paper on the kitchen table. Isaac and I are going into the world. I will write soon, and please tell his parents he will too. June Baker has money for you. Coffee is there. I am sorry. He knew Mother wouldn't understand his choice. He would write her 1,000 letters, and it would never matter. He still heard the echo of her wail in church on Sunday before he and Isaac had run from Zebulon. Why does God punish me? It was the only time he could remember Mother showing such emotion, even when his brother and father died. To hear her dare question God's will still made him shiver. She deserved an explanation, but David could never tell her the truth about loving Isaac. He was an abomination in the eyes of the Lord and the church. He thought of the English word he had heard in the movies. Gay. Mother could never understand it. That he had rejected the plain life was already, undoubtedly, a heartbreak for his family. If he told them who he really was, his chest tightened. They could never understand. It was unthinkable. He imagined it going one of 2 ways. Either they would do everything to convince him to repent and live a good Amish life, or they would shun him. Even if he wasn't officially Meidung and Zebulon, since he hadn't followed church, his family